Welcome back to my channel, Super Sunita's Happy World. Today I'm back with another interesting story written by Mrs Sudha Murthy. The title of the story is The Deserving Candidate. The story goes like this, friends. A few years back, I was on a selection committee. We were recruiting people for various posts, most of which had a high remuneration. As a result, there was a lot of pressure on us, 4 committee members. Overnight, I found my popularity had increased many times over. Forgotten relatives dropped by at my house. Friends I had lost touch with appeared out of the blue. Religious heads started telling me how important it was to help people from one's community. Ex-students suddenly remembered when Teachers' Day came and sent me cards. Even in the temple, I started getting extra helpings of prasad. I was beginning to enjoy the newfound comforts of life. Unfortunately for these people, all 4 committee members were very honest, and we had decided on the day of our first meeting that we would not entertain any requests. Recruitment would be done based solely on merit. During one of our interview sessions one day, a young girl walked in. Her name was Nandita, and she was good looking, smart, and well dressed. We asked our first standard question: "Why do you think you are suitable for this job?" The girl replied, "I have a great deal of confidence. I can handle the pressures of this job well." She was speaking with an American accent, so I asked her where she was from. "I'm from Bangalore," she replied, "but most of my relatives stay in the US, so I go there during all my holidays." "Where have you been in the US?" "We have many clients there. My uncle Ramakrishnan is a very famous Silicon Valley industrialist. My aunt is a correspondent for New York Times. My cousin Rohit works in the White House. So I shuttle between New York, Washington, and San Francisco." In our work, one is required to interact with different kinds of people often. "Oh, meeting people and talking to them is not a problem. I enjoy that." "Have you any experience of that?" "Yes, I party a lot and meet lots of people." "That is not the same as meeting people on business," I said, and we moved on to the technical questions. She answered adequately well, and we finished the interview soon after. As she was leaving, Nandita hesitated near the door. Then she turned and asked, "Can I ask you something?" I always like it when girls ask questions. For too long, the definition of a good girl in our society is one who does not question too much and meekly accepts everything. But I like those who dare to break out of this mold and speak their minds. So I told Nandita to go ahead. She said, "The salary you're offering for this job is quite less." I was taken aback. This was not the kind of question or remark I was expecting. I answered, "It is very good when you compare it with other companies." "Oh, it is just enough to pay the rent for an apartment and a driver and cook salary. I'm used to these comforts, you see." "But you said you live with your parents." "The company has a bus and we have an excellent canteen." "After I start earning, I want to live on my own. That is what everyone does nowadays." And with these words and a pitiful look at me for my ignorance, she left. As usual, I reached home late that evening. My mother admonished me, saying, "You should have remembered that we have to go to Sarayu's granddaughter's birthday. She has already called thrice. Even if it is late, go and say hello. You have to live in a society and can't remain engrossed in your work always." Like an obedient child, I went to Sarayu's house. The usual kind of party was going on. Men were talking about politics and sports, women were discussing the next party, and since there was an event manager, the children were busy. It was a hot day, and trays of cool drinks were doing the rounds. Suddenly, I thought I saw a girl who looked like a lot like Nandita. She was wearing a sari and was serving drinks to the guests. When I tried looking at her closely, she turned away and avoided my eyes. I was amazed and I went to Sarayu and asked her, "Who is the pretty girl serving the drinks was?" "Oh, that is Nandita. She is a smart and bright girl. Her father owns a canteen in my husband's office. Our office has sponsored her education. She has completed her engineering recently and is searching for a job. She is a quick learner and adjusts well with everybody. We have invited her to help her today. If you are ever having a party, I would strongly recommend asking her father to do the catering." I was speechless. The interviews carried on for the whole of that week. The last candidate to walk in was a boy in his early 20s. He was ordinarily dressed and seemed to be on the quieter side. His answers were all up to the mark and well thought out. I wanted to know more about him, as it is always interesting to talk to bright young minds. "You answered the questions about computer science very well. Since when you have been interested in the area?" Shyly he said. "When I was very young." "What age?" I was persistent. "Probably about 8 years." "Why so early?" "My mother is a school teacher, and I was alone at home when she was away at work. The best way to pass the time was to attend some classes." Somehow I knew that could not be the only reason. He was obviously very bright, and his mother must have spent a lot of time channelizing his talents in the right direction. I realized this boy will not boast about his background, but I wanted to know more. "What about your father? What does he do?" The boy thought for some time. Then he replied, "Does it matter? You need only look at my responsibilities. If you find me suitable, please accept me or reject me if you don't." "How much salary are you expecting?" The boy said a figure which was higher than what we were offering. "How do you justify such a high salary for your experience?" "I will justify it by working hard and taking bottom line responsibility. I will ensure that my work is of the highest standards." "Do you mind telling me why do you want a higher salary?" "I want to donate a part of it to a trust which helps bright students continue their education if they can't pay the fees." I was touched by his answer. After this, there was nothing more to ask. When the boy left, we were unanimous that we wanted to take him. As we were talking, the clerk who was handing out the travel allowance to those who had come from out of town for the interview walked in. He said, "Could you sign for the last candidate?" He did not claim his allowance. He said he stayed with his aunt and came to town on some personal work too. Now I am amazed at the boy's honesty. I looked closely at his form and at the permanent address. He was the son of a very successful doctor. Obviously, money or fame had not robbed him of his honesty and simplicity. So this is the end of the story, friends. I'm sure you must have liked the story very much. Please subscribe to my channel, friends, and if you like the video, please forward it to your friends and relatives. Thank you so much for watching the video, friends.